Want to see me turn this rough sketch into this good-looking outdoor pixel art scene? This video shows my workflow in doing just that. I'm starting off with the mountains first. I tested out a good-looking color palette first that I sourced from a pretty desert photo from the World Wide Web. With this palette, I can start making the ridges of the mountains. From the reference, I can see that they have some sort of a brown chocolate-like color. Of course, I was distracted when OpenAI came out with a new image model, so I had to try out a character from the Blueberry comics and see how it looks when you turn that into a photo. Quite good, actually. After that, I started with some notion how mountains look. I learned that those ridges are mostly vertical and does not receive many light and are dark. Slowly, I got the hang of it. My tool does not have a zoomed out window, so I have to pinch to zoom often to check the look from afar. I know it still does not look any good, but I'm going to fix this by layering more mountain parts on top of each other. I have also seen that there are often elongated ridges that stretch over the more or less peaky mountains. So that is in the foreground and gives some variation. Every time I try to recall how light falls on the peaks and which shadows are in the valleys. And the more you're aware of this, the more natural it will look. It's beginning to start to look like mountains to me. At the end, I will sprinkle some dithering on top of it. Pixeling these mountains one pixel at a time looks like a lot of work. And it is, but nobody stops you from copying nice-looking mountaintops, scaling that a bit, and do a little touch-up here and then. The reward you get by making this yourself is that you can reuse that asset many times. I remember a game jam, where I made a Defender clone that had a crappy mountain parallax background. If I change a few colors, it will just look like space mountains. Okay, I created the full mountain using 4 to 5 shades of color. I noticed it looks much better when I dither certain areas, as it smooths the transition between darker and lighter parts and makes it more visually pleasing.
Trust me, I know what I'm doing.
The only rule I applied while dithering these mountains that I'm only applying pixels that are one shading level apart. That way it looks the most natural and makes the optical trick work. The dithering step makes you aware of small mistakes you made earlier, so it is also a good overall review of your work. I have tried using dithering brushes, but in my case it didn't speed up the work because of the rule I wanted to apply on the different shading colors. But if you need to make large dithering patches, then it can really help. Well, I think it is time to wrap up the mountains and look at the other parts of the scene, like the sand and the occasional bushes. The sand was an easy choice for me. I just needed to take the sand I made for the Star Wars Holiday Special Devlog depicting the outside area of the Mos Eisley Canteen. The only thing I did to the sand is clone the sand of Tatooine and stitched 4 mirrored parts and started removing the seams. To break the monotony, I added some rocky patches scattered around the sand. And the same count for this too. Clone and adapt some pixels and nobody will notice it.
Oh, hello there. Hello. Could you help me? Hello.
For the rocky patches, I chose some colors that would easily blend in the sand. I tried some hard rocks, but the problem is that it also gave a sense of near and far away, and it did not look good. This scene is meant to portray the arrival of Mac Marcus in Ophir. It is not obvious where Ophir was in ancient times, but I decided that Mac lands in the outskirts of the capital of Yemen.
You think you're really smart? Well, I can promise you one thing, you're not.
Now I will work on the true organic parts you will find in outdoor scenery. Thorny bushes, grass patches, and maybe some desert flowers is what I'm thinking of. This time a dithering brush could work out fine, because I need to produce a lot of pixels. I can also lasso a selection so the pixels won't extend a certain boundary. That way I can wildly scatter pixels of different color around and still have the shape I wanted. I'm trying to go for the erratic branching of thorny bushes. I think it is also easier to make these bushes for this resolution I am going for. Just scattering pixels and shade them according to the sunlight and it will look decent enough. Always remember the goal of the scene. This is for the landing scene of Mac Marcus. So some details will get lost by the viewer. It has to look good at a distance. I am planning a close-up scene near one of the planes for the interaction between characters. Some characters are being developed right now. One British pilot called Arthur Kent. He is an upper-class nobleman turned veteran pilot. And Nahim Fayez is our local that does all the work at the airport's tents. Some variations in bushes are necessary, some without branches, and some bushes that are a little bit denser in structure. I definitely need one more variation, and we will start the kit bashing technique. Scaling, stretching, and changing some pixels will do the trick once again. Kit bashing will help me get some variations across the scene. I'm using the reference to get a natural looking distribution of the bushes and also which bush I need to stretch or squeeze with the handles. So let's see how it's progressing thus far. Let's also add some background noise like planes, crickets, and some windy sounds. It's time to start with the fun part, the World War II planes. I'm starting with the iconic markings on those classic British airplanes that were around in 1939. I don't have a lot of pixels to work with, so manual pixel placement is needed to get the right look when the wing of the plane is seen from afar. I am using bright colors so it stands out from the sand and mountains. Later on, subtle shading and dithering can make the pixel art more pleasing to the eye if necessary. For the wings, I decide to go for the bare metal look of planes that were calming in that era. I learned they did this for fuel efficiency. Another reason was that the rate of producing those planes was so high that they just skipped the paint job. On a reference picture, I could see that those wings were made from separate sheets of aluminium that were attached by riveting those sheets on a skeleton structure. Another reason that they did not want to paint the fuselage. Starting with the rotor, I looked at some old planes from those days and I saw that I missed the propeller cage attached to the wings. So I needed to fix that first. Now for the more detailed parts of a plane, the rotors. They have some highlights on the round edges, so they should be very bright and glossy. The innards of the rotor could be represented by gray lines on a black area. I was not totally satisfied with the way the propeller looked and was looking for a way to get in the twisted shading into the propeller. I gave up because I don't have enough pixels to work with. I will revisit this when I do the detailed and up-close version along with Arthur Kent.
What on earth do I have to do with this? Oh, sorry, you meant Arthur Kent. It's probably the babblefish plugged in my ear.
Okay, back to the shiny plane. The front rotor housing looked a bit different on the reference picture. It is a bit larger than a side rotor housing. It is also a bit more flat and tighter on the side. I think this is because of aerodynamics. Such a big part of the plane would be a big drag otherwise. The inlet of the rotor contained a lot of piping on the reference photo. I decided to just scatter a couple of pixels to mimic those. Not enough pixels to make something detailed, but from a distance that is unnoticeable. In the center there is a bit more shade, and the hole where the propeller will be stuck to the rotor housing should be darker too. I tried to take care of the highlights that would be visible on these unpainted planes, but that takes time to get right. Now I will start detailing the fuselage. I will start by using the bucket to fill it with a sky blue color. Why is this color a good choice? The unpainted plane will reflect the sky, so that looks immediately convincing. The plane also had a nice British war sign on the side of the plane. I learned that it is called a roundel. It looks really great on these planes. I feel that US and British roundels are really beautifully designed. Even with a restriction on the amount of pixels, I really want to capture this roundel as good as I can. I made a mistake during the creation of the roundel on the side of the plane. After checking the reference, it was a shade of color that would blend more into the fuselage. Probably they did not want to turn these planes into some easy target practice. After that was fixed, I went on with the viewing windows. I thought that simple shapes would be best and cloned them many times over. The plane also has lots of struts and beams that keep the plane together. The eye loves detail, so these should get some TLC. Finally, some belly rubbing. And finally, dithering makes this more appealing for pixel art lovers.
Hello, computer. Can you create a very happy place without making too much happy accidents? It takes so much time to fix and looks like crap to me. Ah, yes, that's it. Now delete it immediately.
To finish the scene off, I pixeled some tanks that were used by the English Army in those days. They were small and heavily riveted. They were also painted white because of the scorching sun. It was not possible to get detail of the rivets on the tanks. Shading is most prominent on the tracks and gun. Finally, I pixeled a Spitfire plane that is waiting on the runway to leave the airfield.
Wouldn't it be time to show off some results? You have been stalling this for ages. This has been more boring than an end-user license agreement being read by a priest.
All right. Ready for takeoff? Okay, let's wrap things up. So please like and subscribe. But maybe it's better to tell you about the upcoming topics on my devlog. First, a new approach to rotoscoping a pixel art animation in the style of Jordan Mechner, but this time with LTX2 video on a green screen background. Yes, you heard it well. Some locally run AI to actually do some good for once. Another thing that is being developed in my highly experimental engine is the AI-driven hint character that is using a local LLM and a runtime text-to-speech system. Here are some funny and unexpected clips from that interaction.
Okay, that is important work. Busy here?
I'm not busy, I just have to go back and check the boxes.
Okay, a lot of criminals buried here?
Yes, but they are all dead now.
I think this will be a lot of fun and will be another level of billboarding. That is it for now. Until next time. See you next time, where I am going to tell all about these developments.